6 p.m. I will call the Tuesday, February 11th, 2020 meeting of the Miami Township, Montgomery County Board of Trustees to order. Please join me at the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Morris.
Here.
Mr. Culp.
Here.
Mr. Posey.
Here.
Mr. Posey, you have military casualties?
I do. We have 3 to report today. The first is Specialist Antonio Moore from Operation Inherent Resolve, date of passing January 24th, 2020. He was age 22 of Wilmington, North Carolina, and assigned to the 346th Engineer Company, 363rd Engineer Battalion, and the 411th Engineer Brigade. The second is Captain Ryan S. Fanouf, again from Operation Freedom Sentinel, date of passing January 27th, 2020. He was 30 years old, from Hudson, New Hampshire, and assigned to the 37th Bomb Squadron at Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota. The last one today is Lieutenant Colonel Paul K. Voss from Operation Freedom Sentinel, age 46, of Yigo, Guam, and assigned to the Air Combat Command Headquarters at Joint Base Langley Eustis in Virginia, and he passed on January 27th, 2020.
Chief Stegelmeyer?
Good evening. The following is the first responder casualty list for the period of January 31st through February 11th, 2020. Police Officer Alan McCullum, Corpus Christi Police Department, Texas. End of watch January 31st, 2020. Deputy Sheriff Richard Witten, Liberty County Sheriff's Office, Texas. End of watch February 3rd, 2020. Police Officer Nick O'Rear, Kimberly Police Department, Alabama. End of watch February 5th, 2020. And Trooper Joseph Bullock, Florida Highway Patrol, Florida. End of watch February 5th, 2020.
Everyone, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Chief Stegelmeyer, you have a motion for liquor permit.
Yes, Board, I do. What I have before you, or what you already have in your packet, is a new license for DRE Non-Core LLC doing business as Homewood Suites. This will probably sound familiar because I was in here at the last board meeting for a transfer application. The Ohio Division of Liquor Control asked for this business to put in for a new license, and this is why I'm here this evening presenting this to you. Again, we found no reason to contest this, and we recommend that the board go ahead and approve this. This is a D5 spirituous liquor license for on-premise consumption for beer, wine, and mixed beverages, and it's between the hours up until 2:30 a.m. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Mr. Mayberry, Resolution 18.
Yes, good evening, Board. I do have the one item for tonight's consideration. I have a cover memo explaining the need for this legislation, and it relates to moving funds to cover our 2020 road and bridge capital purchases. Any questions on this item? Thank you.
Mr. Snyder, Resolutions 19, 20, and 21.
Good evening, Board. I do have 3 resolutions for your consideration tonight, all dealing with the EDGE program. The first resolution, 19-2020, deals with our 10-year renewal for the EDGE contract to participate in the EDGE program with Montgomery County. You have a memo in your packet, and again, we did have a work session at the last meeting concerning the renewal program and what that entails. There is a economic development and a government equity portion of this program. The government equity portion, again, has not been active for a number of years, and we don't know when that will reactivate. We have utilized the economic development portion of this program most recently with the project for Cornerstone Research Group, which we'll go over in just a moment. So, again, if you have any questions beyond the information that I have in your packet. Be happy to go over that now. Otherwise, I can go on to resolutions 20 and 21. Okay. Resolution 20 and 21 both pertain to the EDGE project with Cornerstone Research Group. Again, we were very happy to be awarded through the program $200,000 to contribute towards that project, which is going to bring upwards of 250 new jobs to Miami Township. I did want to thank the CEO, Patrick Hood, and the staff at Cornerstone Research Group for their commitment to both Miami Township and the Miami Valley and keeping their operations here and expanding their operations. The CEO in particular has been involved in a number of businesses in our area, and we're certainly excited to see the amount of investment that they're going to be able to bring to this facility. So again, this is two contracts. One is technically the award is to Miami Township. So there is a contract between Miami Township and Montgomery County. And then we also put a contract together between Miami Township and the company to reiterate the commitments that we're all required to adhere to as part of that program. So if there are any questions, be happy to go over that. Otherwise, again, we'll be getting that project started as soon as all of these agreements are executed.
Any questions for Mr. Snyder? Mr. McCord?
Good evening, Board. I have one item for you tonight, Resolution 022-2020. It's an amended appropriation to transfer funding from for continuing education within the police department from the Fund 224 back to Fund 209. After consulting with Chief, we determined that we needed to secure those funds at 224 for another purpose other than what we had originally envisioned, and so we're amending the 209, increasing that appropriation to cover his continued training for this calendar year, and we'll come back at a later date with a plan for the 224 fund as needed.
Thank you. We will now move into the public comment period part of the meeting. If anybody would like to address the board, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. You have up to 5 minutes.
Can you make sure the button is up? Yes, please.
Oh, okay, I read it wrong. You got the instructions here, all you gotta do is read them, right? So Chris, that's really good news to have that, the 250 jobs. You know, I see articles in the newspaper from time to time where somebody's coming here or adding 5 jobs or 10 jobs, and when I saw that, 250 jobs, I mean, that's huge. And so I really appreciate the work you guys did on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come forward? Seeing no one, I will close the public comment period, move into consideration of votes of resolutions and motions. I will begin by making a motion to approve the new liquor permit for Homewood Suites.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 018-2020, resolution to approve an amended appropriation of funds for 2020. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees authorizes the transfer of $195,000 from the Public Works Capital Reserves Fund number 304 to the Road and Bridge Fund number 204, and be it further resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees increase the appropriation in the Road and Bridge Fund by $195,000 to purchase the capital needs identified by the Public Works Director.
I'll second. Any discussion?
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye. I will move to adopt Resolution 019-2020, a resolution authorizing a 10-year participation agreement with the Montgomery County Economic Development Government Equity, the EDGE program. Therefore, be it resolved, sections 1, 2, 3, and 3, that the board hereby authorizes and directs the township administrator to enter into an EDGE participation agreement with Montgomery County attached to the resolution for a 10-year period beginning January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2029, and to execute collateral agreements directly relating to such participation. Section 2, that the board finds and determines that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution, and that all deliberations of this board that resulted in those formal actions were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code, and Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
I'll second. Any discussion?
Mr. Morse?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 020-2020, a resolution authorizing the Township Administrator to execute an EDGE project agreement with Montgomery County for utilization of EDGE funding. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees authorizes the Township Administrator to execute an agreement with the Montgomery County substantially in the form on file with Miami Township, with such changes as the administrator determines are in the best interest of Miami Township in support of the EDGE project for Cornerstone Research Group Incorporated.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morse?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 021-2020, a resolution authorizing the Township Administrator to execute a project agreement with Cornerstone Research Group Incorporated for utilization of EDGE funding. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees authorizes the Township Administrator to execute an agreement with Cornerstone Research Group Incorporated, substantially in the form on file with Miami Township, with such changes as the Administrator determines are in the best interest of Miami Township in support of the EDGE project for Cornerstone Research Group Incorporated.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Morse?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 22-2020, a resolution to approve the amended appropriation for funds for Police Fund number 209. Therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of Miami Township, Montgomery County, Ohio, amends the appropriations for the Continued Professional Development Fund number 224 and the Police Fund number 209 in the amount of $23,400, and authorizes the Finance Director to forward a copy of this resolution to the Montgomery County Auditor.
I'll second. Any discussion?
Mr. Morse?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
We have no public hearings scheduled. There are no scheduled department head comments. Do any of the elected officials have any questions for any of the department heads?
No.
Mr. Newell, do you have any comments?
I have none.
Mr. Posey?
None from me, thank you.
Mr. Culp?
Yes, I do. I'd like to discuss a vote that took place a month ago on the Austin Landing Flats property and explain my vote, which was in the minority. The Austin Flats property owner is a longtime property owner in Miami Township, and what they came to us and asked us to do is, instead of allowing the 200 square feet of signage I think that they were allowed, and the 238 square feet of signage which they had, to increase that by 7 times the signage. Now, if someone wasn't familiar with our code or our standards in the township, I would understand that. But in this case, this organization is very familiar. In fact, we've taken them to court before, won a case against them in order to make them abide by our code. And we repeatedly, over the years, including continuing, have issues with this property owner. And so my position on this is I'm not going to support a single property owner who comes into our township and asks for variances on their property to do this without some, and they've been found, they're difficult to work with, let's put it this way. I'm not going to support their expectation that we're just going to change the rules every time they show up. And next time they show up and they want a rule changed, they're going to have to provide the supporting information. And that supporting information this last time, I think, even if a non-disclosure agreement might be required, should have been, well, here's our occupancy rate, and this is why we're concerned about it. Instead, their attitude was, it's none of your business. And I think it is our business if they expect us to change the code. We expect our constituents or to overlook them ignoring the code. We expect constituents to move their basketball hoops, to move their trailers, to put their trash can in a certain place, things like that. And so I expect businesses in Miami Township, and I should say this is a minority, to act the same way. Now another thing that's disturbing about this is the same company that made an outsized political contribution in a township trustee race here in Miami Township just a few years ago. And so not only did they make it, but it was an illegal contribution, which they had to correct. Now, someone doesn't make a $5,000 contribution to a township trustee and think that they're getting something for it. That's my thinking on it. Last time that happened in Miami Township, we gave, I think this is correct, we gave a $1 option on Austin West property to that political donor. So, you know, the message I have is we need to follow the code. If the code is wrong, we need to change it. And I'm really not interested in $5,000 donations to township trustee campaigns. So, you know, this company needs to be aware of that. And that's my position on that vote right there. So thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. I have no public comments. We have no work session scheduled. No, I'll back up 1 second. I'm going to just share for the record. I'm going to pass some information over to our Public Works Director, Mr. Mayberry. I was at the Ohio Township Association, and they seem to have come up with some new traffic calming technologies, fancy street signs and things that I got picked up a brochure on. So I'm going to pass that over to the Public Works Director. We want to stay current on what's available to us in terms of technology. So just for the record, want to make sure people know we're looking for the newest and latest things to help control our traffic in our township. There is no executive session. I will make a motion to adjourn at 6:17. Thank you all for coming.